You've been lied to, not once, not by one person, but over and over again by society, by trends, by the ticking of clocks and the flashing of screens. They told you success was something you had to chase, that peace was only for the rich, but happiness was a finish line you had to sprint toward, even if your legs were breaking. And here you are, exhausted, worn thin, quietly asking the question no one around you seems brave enough to voice out loud. Is this really it? But there's a truth, ancient, unchanging, buried beneath dust and distraction, a truth whispered by men who lived before empires fell, by warriors who walked through fire, by monks who sat in silence while the world burned. This truth? It will change everything, but only if you're ready to remember. The modern world teaches you to run toward fame, run toward wealth, run toward attention, and run away from yourself. We're trained to perform, not reflect, to consume, not question, to survive, not live. You wake up and reach for your phone before your own thoughts. You scroll past people's lives, wondering where yours has gone. You feel the tightness in your chest, but call it ambition. You feel the emptiness in your heart, but call it productivity. We've traded wisdom for information, discipline for dopamine, silence for noise. And here's the trap. You can't fix an inner problem with an outer solution. But the ancients knew this. They knew the mind is both prison and key. They knew suffering doesn't always come from pain, but from meaningless pain. Thousands of years ago, when the world was simpler but harder, a handful of thinkers stared into the human condition and refused to look away. They didn't have phones, but they knew distraction. They didn't have social media, but they knew vanity. They didn't have a therapist, but they knew suffering. From Greece to Egypt, India to China, across the mountains, deserts, and empires, wise men carried a fire, not in their hands, but in their minds, and they passed it on through words. Epictetus was born into slavery, yet he wrote, "We suffer not from events, but from our judgment about them." Buddha was born into royalty, yet he walked away from everything because he saw that suffering didn't discriminate. Lao Tzu banished into the mountains after writing the Tao Te Ching because he believed that silence taught more than speeches. And Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, sat at the edge of his bed each morning reminding himself that he might die today, not to be afraid, but to live better. Look around you. Everyone is selling something, a lifestyle, a shortcut, a cure, but almost no one is telling you to look in the mirror, because it's in that reflection that you find the truth most people run from. You are responsible for your life, not your boss, not your parents, not your ex, not the algorithm, just you. That's the hard truth, but it's also the most liberating, because if it's your responsibility, then it's also your power. The ancient truth isn't about religion or culture. It's not Greek or Roman. It isn't Eastern or Western. It's human, and it's this. A man becomes what he repeatedly does, thinks, and allows. If you feed your mind chaos, don't be surprised when peace feels foreign. If you feed your body poison, don't be surprised when strength abandons you. If you feed your soul nothing, don't be surprised when it withers in silence. So now the question isn't what's wrong with the world. It's what have I allowed into my world? The ancients didn't wait for the world to be perfect. They perfected themselves in spite of it. They fasted, they trained, they journaled, they prayed, they disciplined their thoughts, not to impress others, but to strengthen their soul. They believed this: you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, and your first system is your mind. You don't need a new job, you need a new perspective. You don't need 1 million followers, you need one truth. You don't need to be liked, you need to become respected in your own soul. That's where the change begins, not in the world, but in the man within the world. Here's what they won't tell you. You don't need to become anything. You already are. The fire is already inside you, and it's just been buried. You've been told you're broken, but the ancient truth says this: you're not broken. You're untrained. Discipline is a skill. Peace is a practice. Truth is a day choice. And you get to make that choice starting now. You don't need more motivation. You need more stillness. Not 5-minute meditations with ambient rain, but 10 seconds of brutal honesty with yourself. Ask, why do I feel empty when I stop moving? Why does silence scare me more than failure? What am I hiding from myself in the name of progress? The men who walked before you, they asked these questions, and they waited for the answers in caves, on battlefields, in temples, alone in the middle of their minds. You were not born to scroll through life. You were not born to numb yourself until you bowed. You were not born to be ordinary. You were born to wake up, to return to your soul, to walk the harder path, to walk alone if necessary, and to remember, he who conquers himself is greater than he who conquers 1,000 men in battle. So no, this truth isn't trending. It's not viral. It's not sexy. It won't make you rich in 10 days, but it will make you powerful. It will make you whole, and it will change how you live. Not because I said it, but because you already knew it. You just forgot. And this is your reminder. The world is loud, but your soul is quiet. And in the silence, there is something waiting for you. Not new, not flashy, not easy, but true. So the next time the world tells you to hustle harder, to chase faster, to want more, remember this: the warrior who doesn't know himself is a danger to everyone, but the warrior who returns to himself can never be defeated. If you're ready to go deeper, then the next truth is waiting for you.